You'd think at 12 o'clock in the morning, or it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd be sleepy, but I'm not. So I decided to ramble on about my favorite saints. Saint Dwenwyn, Denon. I don't know how to pronounce it. But you know how everybody's pretty much like all kind of St. Valentine crazy in the United States and a lot of places, well, kind of in Europe, but Wales, the country, has Saint Dwenwyn. And the story goes, well, it's not exactly the Welsh equivalent of Valentine's Day, but it almost is. I mean, propaganda-wise. They have cards and traditions, and not that traditions are propaganda, but, like the stuff you see in the store when they're really trying to sell things around holidays. So the story goes, St. Dwenwyn loved this youth. I don't know if he was a knight, I don't know if he was a nobleman, I don't know if he was poor. I don't know if it actually says, named Malon. And her father forbid the marriage, so she prayed to God that she would not feel in her heart what she felt for Malon anymore. And apparently she had a dream where an angel came and turned Malon to stone. And she had to drink out of this certain cup to turn him into a human being again. She promised that she would give her life to God if Malon would just turn back human. It's 12 o'clock at night. It's hard for me to explain the story. That if he would become human again. So if you can imagine a kind of a frozen scene from the movie, that's how the story goes, and she became a nun. Or a consecrated virgin. Anyways. And then there's St. Lucy, the patron saint of eyesight. And eyes. And light. Her name, Lucy. The Latin word, luce. Okay. A long time ago, and I mean a really long time ago, like in ancient Roman times, there were like a whole string of women who dedicated their heart, souls, and bodies to God. And they didn't want to get married. Not that they believed marriage was a bad thing, they just believed that their dedication to God was a higher calling. And that didn't really jive right with a lot of playboys of ancient Roman Empire, especially some centurions. And they got really angry. And there's St. Lucy was one of the women who they got angry at, and a lot of times she's shown with her eyes gouged out, and she's holding them on a plate. Apparently she didn't, for some reason someone told me that didn't actually happen until, I don't know. You know, old legends, there's lots of ifs, ands, or buts, or did it happen this way, or did it happen that way. Anyways, a lot of the stories are similar. You're going to hear about, like, St. Agnes and St. Agatha, Lucy, Perpetua, Cecilia. A lot of them are really similar stories, and they're kind of romantic. They're like the Catholic version of Disney princesses. When you're little and you're Catholic, you look up to Disney princesses and ancient martyrs. And as you grow older, you seem to understand which one's a little bit more cool. But, yeah. In Sweden, I think, they actually have a tradition where they wear a wreath on their head in honor of St. Lucy, and there will be candles to commemorate the love of Christ as a light in the darkness, especially at the end of the year in the freezing winter months. And there's St. Agnes, or Agatha, the patron saint of breast cancer. She was martyred in a very gruesome way. I'm not really going to say how. But, there's also, she had her chest cut off, and she's usually presented holding him on a plate. Yeah, martyrdom stories are gruesome, but they went hardcore. One person said, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. No one would die for something that they believed was just a club or a game or a trend. They had to really believe in what they did to go through all that pain. St. Agnes, there's a lot of poetry about St. Agnes, actually. She's often shown with a lamb. Her name actually does mean lamb, so that's coincidental. Not really coincidental, that's on purpose. In the paintings, if you see her with a lamb. I think she was beheaded, I'm pretty sure. St. Cecilia is the patron saint of music. On her wedding night, she asked her husband if she could dedicate herself to God and if they could live as brother and sister. And he agreed, and an angel came to her husband and presented him 2 crowns. Or no, it was either Cecilia the angel came to, and there was one of roses and thorns, which meant martyrdom, and lilies for purity. And so, it's interesting, the same thing happened with St. Maximilian Kolbe, but that was hundreds of thousands. That was a long time later. So, anyways, I think I'll finish the rest of this in a little bit. I don't know if I have time to record the whole thing. Peace.